So as you know, Manchester United really want Dan Ashworth. They're going all out for Dan Ashworth. This could mean Sam Jewell coming in. And you might be asking, why do they want Dan Ashworth so badly? Because someone said in my comments, he only works at Newcastle. It's not like he's at Barcelona and Manchester City. And that's a very naive way to look at it. I'm going to explain to you the exact reason, the exact problem at Manchester United that Dan Ashworth fixes. Now, looking at this is all of Ten Hag's 16 signings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them are loans. 1, 2, 3, 4 were players over 30 or players that weren't going to play for the first team in Bay and Deer. And 6 of them were considered long-term. And Malacia, who's been injured all season. Martinez, who's been basically injured all season. Anthony, that's just not good enough and what a waste of money. Mason Mount, that has been injured all season. Anana, that I think will become good, that hasn't been good enough, and Højlund's been good. When you actually think about it, only one of Ten Hag's long-term signings in Højlund has been reliable this season, and every other single one of Ten Hag's long-term signings were here for the short term. They weren't long-term signings, they were here for the short term. So Ten Hag is essentially working with a Manchester United squad plus his one signing in Højlund and his other signing in Anana this season. And people wonder why Man United aren't kicking on. People wonder why Ten Hag's rebuild isn't progressing. People are saying, oh, we came third last season, we won an FA Cup. Why are we so bad this season? Well, maybe you've got to look at the investments made. Isn't obviously Martinez being out all season injured, Mount being out all season injured, Malacia being out all season has made a difference. Same with Casemiro's big injury. But you look at the signings, when 6 out of his 16 signings have been short-term, when 6 out of 16 signings have been long-term, when 10 out of his 16 signings have been short-term signings, short-term fixes, so having to do loan deals, are over 30, how can he build something for the future? How can he create a squad when only 6 of his signings are long-term and 3 of them have spent the whole season injured and the other 2 of them haven't been good enough? The only one that stepped up is Højlund. We then have to look at recruitment for why 2 out of 3 of the new signings haven't been good enough. You have to look at why we're doing so many loans, because we've overspent our budget in bad areas. And you have to look at the sports science department, which is something Dan Ashworth will do and fix to help the medical department of United. There's big changes being made there. And it's not just under Ten Hag, it's just in general. Under Ollie's last transfer window, Tom Heaton wasn't long-term. Ronaldo was not long-term, that was to sell shirts. And Varane wasn't long-term. I was very happy with the Varane signing, but the only signing that was looking at the long-term availability was Sancho under Ollie's last summer. And I get Varane coming in because, as Omar Berrada says, you need some experienced players at their very best. You need young players. You need players that can be moulded and turned into superstars. You need players in your prime. You need a mix of things. But then you look at the season before that. We've got Telles, we've got Cavani, we've got Donny. Ollie didn't want any of them. Cavani and Telles were not long-term. Donny was, I guess, long-term, but Ollie didn't want him. And Pellistri and Ahmad, I guess, were long-term, but they weren't going to come to the first team for a good year and a bit. Ollie got nothing in 2020. And in the 1920 summer, we actually had the right approach with Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, these good young players in the Premier League. Maybe not so much Dan James, that was a risk. And then Bruno Fernandes was a really, really good signing. But we overspent. We spent 130 million on Maguire and Wan-Bissaka. So you look at United's problems, and they've been going for players that aren't long-term signings. They've been going for players that are short-term signings. They've been going for players that the manager doesn't want and doesn't suit the manager's philosophy, aka Ollie literally admitted he did not want Donny van de Beek. And then when we do go for players, we massively overspend. So the 3 areas Man United have got to fix right now, that Dan Ashworth's going to fix, Omar Berrada's going to fix, and I'm going to explain that to you, is the going for short-term signings, the wasting all the budget on 2 players and overspending, and also buying players that don't suit the way the manager wants to play, which is where, again, Sam Jewell will come in and help with recruitment. So where do they come in? Because this is what I want to explain to you guys. Ashworth's going to come in and he's going to implement a long-term strategy and plan to do transfers and other areas. He's going to work on the academy, the scouting. He's going to work on recruitment. He's going to work on the sports science department. And he'll be looking at signings age 20 to 26, probably getting someone like Sam Jewell, scout, to look at that and look at sort of the vision of United. What's the way that we want to play? What vision is him, Omar Berrada and Brailsford come up with? What's the attacking way? What's the United way? And they will go out and sign players in that 20 to 26 age bracket that suit that way, that have the right attitude, that have the right anything, with the help of Sam Jewell. Berrada will make sure that we stay within budget. And the key problem was Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Dan James, Bruno Fernandes was kind of the right approach in the transfer window in terms of young players that could be developed, that potentially had the right attitude, but we massively overspent on Maguire and Wan-Bissaka. And maybe the scouting could have been better on Dan James. We just got him because Ryan Giggs suggested him. Have Omar Berrada in there. He said no when Maguire was 80 million, went for Ruben Diaz instead, because he said if we have 60 million for a centre-back, we spend 60 million on centre-back max. We don't go up to 80 million because then we miss out on other key positions. And we missed out on Bruno, who we could have got in the summer. We had to get him in January because of that. And then, Igalo was one on loan. Berrada will make sure that we spend money efficiently. And Sam Jewell will do the finer details on recruitment to make sure we sign players that can be turned into superstars. Dan Ashworth will have a bit of scouting, a bit of recruitment. We'll have that long-term philosophy, put the right structures in place. Sam Jewell does the finer details on recruitment. Are they the kind of players you want? Can I find some gems? And Berrada makes sure that United aren't overspending on those areas. And that's why they're key. And if you don't know about Ashworth and Sam Jewell, you've got to look at Alexis McAllister, Moises Caicedo. Sam Jewell actually learned Spanish to speak and communicate with South American talents. With Thomas Van Botman and Isaac Trosa-Cucurella. Some deals that Ashworth's known for doing, players that have come in very cheap and then been developed. Some have been sold on for more. Botman, I think, is an incredibly brilliant player. I can't lie, Sven Botman's brilliant. And now Brighton are one of the most sustainable clubs in the world, because not only when Ashworth came in did he do good recruitment, but he built a team of scouts based on data, built a recruitment team, built the structures in place at Brighton to make their recruitment good, to make everything good, to make it easier for De Zerbi to come in. And if you look at Dan Ashworth and his selective signings, they've been pretty good for the most part. The big question mark is, should they have done a bit more research on Tonali and what was going on there as well. Continuing on, people say, but what is Dan Ashworth's role? And this was what I mentioned in my video yesterday when Dan Ashworth explained his role. He says there's 6 things that come to me in my job, and that's the men's first team, the women's first team, player recruitment, the academy, medical and sports science, and player loan department. All of those are medium-term things in order to make the club sustainable. And he's looking at things from the medium term, not the let's get this 30-year-old because he sells shirts, let's get this guy on loan, let's get Ten Hag another striker on loan, another striker on loan, another striker on loan. No, I'm going to go and sign a banging 22-year-old so we don't need to keep doing these loan deals. He said at Brighton, we spend our money wisely, we open up pathways for young players to come through the system, and that's one of the things that's really important for Brighton. At United, we have a lot of money, but let's spend it wisely. You think, we spent 150 million on Mason Mount and Anthony. Ridiculous. And obviously young players, the youth's important at United. If we do get obviously that new guy coming, the former Manchester City Academy director coming into the youth talent with the youth talent we have at United, that will be key. And one of my favourite things that Dan Ashworth said, and I said this in my video yesterday, was this: there's some basic principles and philosophies that we believe are the best for player development and the way we want to play. They Brighton DNA, if you like. We want the academy, recruitment structure, loan planning, medical team, everything set up with first team performance and results in mind. If you don't do that, you're wasting time, effort and resources. Results in mind. What does United not prioritise? Results. United prioritise commercial success over results. He wants to set everything up in the long term that interlinks with each other with the results on the pitch in mind. And he said, if you're not doing that, you're wasting effort. Man United haven't thought about results on the pitch. Ed Woodward did an interview, and Ed Woodward in that interview came out and said, oh, Man United's such a big club, even if they're playing bad, they're going to generate loads and loads and loads and loads of money. And because United just thought, well, let's just think about the commercial side and not the results on the pitch side when they did things, it went catastrophic. And Dan Ashworth's right with that. So what is the problem with United? Wasting the transfer budget on overspending, not prioritising the right positions and players. When I say wasting the transfer budget on overspending, we could have got Højlund for £22 million less. That was confirmed, that was revealed. We definitely could have got Mount for about 10 million less, or could have just walked away and got him on a free the next summer. You think you've got to look at that. All of a sudden, Martinez, had we got him a month earlier, would have been 15 million less. Anthony would have been 40 million less had we got him earlier. The funds would have been there to get Kim Min-jae, because Ten Hag made it clear he wanted a right centre back. He didn't get one. Panic loan deals due to lack of long-term strategic thinking. We don't think in the long term because we overspend on one player. We can't get another key player in the summer, and all of a sudden we get to January being, oh my god, we need a signing, because we didn't get the signing we should have done in the summer. Then we have to get someone crapping on loan. That's not good enough. The mismanagement and neglect of the sports science departments and facilities does not help the injury crisis, and of course poor recruitment has resulted in us doing some silly deals, and Sam Jewell will improve that. So what do I think United need to do moving forward? They need to sign players in that age 20 to 25 age bracket that I think can be developed into superstars. They need to develop a vision and a plan for how they want to play and sign players around that. They need to walk away from targets if we have to overpay for them. They need to take advantage of the January transfer window, something we seem to ignore. They need to look more into Premier League proven players, because I think there's some really good players in the Premier League. You look at Liverpool and City's rebuild, but also they need to look abroad, because Premier League and English players can be overpriced, and just find those players in those age 20 to 25 bracket that are good, that can be developed, that can become better. They need to sell the deadwood, really importantly, and reset the dressing room culture, and follow Omar Berrada's 2 years. If you're not good enough after 2 years, you're out. Anthony should be out this summer. I don't care. That's what I think United needs to do moving forward. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it kind of explained to you the importance of Dan Ashworth and the problems at United and what would likely be fixed under Dan Ashworth and why that's so important, but potentially Sam Jewell. Hopefully we do get that deal done for Dan Ashworth. You can see why we desperately want him. Our whole approach has been wrong, or we can change that stuff. Please do hit the like button. Please do subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye.